This was a pretty crazy week for Tesla, as what started off as two separate and fairly benign news stories exploded into an all-out attack by the media against the company. So let's have a look at how these stories played out and what motive could be behind the media's attempt to throw Tesla under the bus. Let's begin with this news story of a woman in China jumping on top of a Tesla Model 3 in a showroom and shouting about her brakes not working in her Tesla vehicle. Apparently, she was dragged away and imprisoned for 5 days for disrupting public order. But this lady blamed faulty brakes for a crash that she was in and has been in contact with Tesla for months, clearly to no resolve. But this went viral, and Tesla China President Grace Tao apparently replied to say that there is no possibility of a compromise with regards to the situation. Then China's state-run news called out Tesla for being arrogant, and this exploded on social media. It ended up prompting Tesla China to apologize and say that they would closely inspect their operations and cooperate with regulators, and the apology was also for failing to resolve the customer's complaint in a timely manner. However, the media grabbed hold of this story and started raising concerns that this could be really bad for Tesla in China, and of course China is a huge business for Tesla. What if China wants to clamp down or get rid of Tesla from China because of this event? This is very scary for investors. Now, I think that headlines could definitely impact customer decisions and their perceptions of a company, but there was no real issue here at all in terms of the woman's crash. It appears she was the one at fault and was trying to blame Tesla. Tesla released logs showing that the brakes in the vehicle had been used over 40 times in the half hour before the crash occurred, and then they showed that seconds before the crash, the brakes were involved in actually slowing the car down as they're supposed to and reducing its speed right before impact. So for Tesla, this is a non-issue. However, it becomes a much larger issue when it goes viral and people have the wrong information, and news outlets are posting about Tesla brakes not working. Even after Tesla publicized the vehicle logs, you still see these articles. Tesla says China car traveling at nearly 120 kilometers an hour before crash. Okay, this is typical highway speed. It sounds really bad, but this woman is lucky that she's alive in her Tesla. A better headline would have been, "Woman survives after crashing at 120 kilometers per hour in her Tesla." Another article was Tesla bows to pressure from local regulator in China and releases the China Model 3 data. I mean, the data is very much in Tesla's favor, so I'm sure they would have loved to release it even sooner. So I don't think that this particular event should worry investors, especially in terms of the concerns that China may be mad at Tesla and kick Tesla out of China. I don't think that makes much sense. The regulators are also smart enough to look at the data which has been provided to them. I think if something was actually wrong, then China would come down harder on Tesla, but that's not even the case here. Pierre Ferragu, a Tesla analyst who's been absolutely right on Tesla for years now, even tweeted and called this an unbelievable smear campaign in the press, magnifying isolated, meaningless events and business-as-usual regulator comments. I agree, it actually doesn't make much sense why this blew up. But the media does seem to hate Tesla, and it makes for a much better and scarier headline if they only focus on the negatives. I mean, no one wants to hear anything positive when they read the news, but it has been a while since we've heard something bad about Tesla. Now, I do think that this incident can be a learning experience for Tesla, because this quote that the president in China said, that he wasn't going to compromise, if it's true, is probably not the message you want your potential customers to hear. I think Tesla's PR could be better prepared for reacting more quickly to incidents like these, even when Tesla is right and they're not at fault. I don't think anyone has revealed the full accurate details yet, but unless this woman was hired by the short seller Jim Chanos of China, it probably could have been completely resolved more quickly, and then Tesla would have even more backing, like saying, "We've already resolved this," and stop it in its tracks before it goes viral for no reason. Also guys, stop using Yahoo Finance, stop using Google Finance, and check out our website, themarketisopen.com, where we have instant stock quotes and financial data for every stock going back 10 years, and it's all freely available. The second piece of news that got ridiculously out of hand was this story where 2 people were killed in a crash in Texas, and no one was in the driver's seat. Now, first I'll say that this is very sad when people get killed driving a vehicle, and I don't think in any scenario Tesla takes this very lightly. Their cars are the safest cars on the road, but that just makes it easier for the media to grab hold of these rare occurrences and make it seem like every Tesla vehicle will kill you, when in fact Tesla just released its safety stats a few days prior to this incident, showing that Teslas are far safer than any other vehicle on the road, and with the Autopilot enabled, they're a full magnitude safer than the regular combustion engine car. Nevertheless, this was probably ignored and people focused on the media FUD. But it also escalated to the next level because of the word driverless in all of the headlines. For the time being, I think that this is a double-edged sword for Tesla. What's interesting here is that Tesla is synonymous with self-driving vehicles. If I say self-driving or driverless or autonomous, you right away think Tesla. And I think Tesla has worked hard to get that association, and I believe that it's extremely positive for the company, at least in the long term. But the media needs to turn this into a negative somehow, and so they say no one was driving the car when it crashed, and everyone immediately assumes that it was Tesla's self-driving software that was flawed. Again, even though the data that Tesla released shows it to be 10 times safer than driving a regular car. And so when this article first came out, I think the first thing that at least most Tesla owners were probably thinking was how did they get out of the driver's seat without the car stopping itself? Tesla has built-in safety measures. As soon as you take off your seatbelt, the car will slow down and pull over, and you also need to keep your hands on the wheel at all times. There's also a high-speed aspect to this story, which also didn't make too much sense, because when the car is self-driving, the Tesla follows pretty close to the speed limit. And then the icing on the cake was Elon Musk saying that this vehicle not only did not have self-driving enabled, but the vehicle never even purchased the FSD package. So that shows that it's completely unrelated from Tesla's autonomous driving software. You would have thought, okay, they still need to investigate what happened, but clearly we don't need to talk about Autopilot in this case. We've proven that it's unrelated. But for some reason, that still didn't stop the FUD. Pro-Tesla website Consumer Reports said, no, I'm totally kidding, they hate Tesla's guts, and it seems like they haven't said anything in a while, so maybe trying to get people to forget how much Consumer Reports hates Tesla. Actually, Consumer Reports has nothing to do with regular consumers, and certainly reflects the opposite views of actual Tesla drivers. And what they did was they put out a step-by-step video showing how people can rig their Teslas to drive with no one in the driver's seat. It's actually quite dangerous what they show people to do and how easy it is to try it out at home. Now, I actually think that this wasn't so easy to do what they did, even though they made it look quite easy. There's a series of steps in which they sit on the seat with the seatbelt buckled behind the driver in order to trick the system, and they also clip a special weight to the steering wheel, which they did have pre-made. I think figuring out the exact weight such that the car senses it, but it's not enough weight to turn the steering wheel, takes a few tries to figure out, but they certainly show people how it's done. But I think that they actually proved that it's not possible to drive a Tesla with no one in the driver's seat without completely rigging the car, and if you do that, then you're clearly at fault if something goes wrong. I can get any car to drive itself with a brick on the gas pedal, so I think it's funny that even after they rigged the Tesla to drive on its own, it was still staying within the lane lines. But when you activate Tesla's Autopilot, you confirm that you're going to be paying attention. Actually, what's weird is that Ford CEO Jim Farley jumped in and retweeted this Consumer Reports article with the headline that Tesla will drive with no one in the driver's seat. Now, I think it's a bit risky for him to sink to this level, but Ford must be pretty desperate or something else must be at play. For one thing, have a look at my previous video where I explain how Tesla may wreck Ford's entire business in the coming years. But this headline, I think, backfired on Ford a bit, and it shows that losers focus on winners and winners focus on winning, and here we have Ford bashing Tesla when they're already down. Now, I kind of like it when CEOs sort of compete with each other on Twitter, but if you're going to promote fake news to mislead people, I just don't think that's a good idea, especially when you should probably be focused on your own business that's about to be wiped out by Tesla. The other thing is that ironically, this headline will probably age pretty well. Once Tesla actually achieves full self-driving, the Ford CEO probably won't want to be promoting their competitor. So going back to the incident, although Tesla FSD is completely unrelated to this, we're seeing Consumer Reports do this test, there's talk of regulators, maybe Autopilot isn't safe, will Tesla be able to continue working on it, should the project be stopped immediately, anything to scare investors. And I think it did. The stock was down and then it made a recovery, which leads me to look at this other tweet from Pierre Ferragu, where he points out that he was missing the short sellers, Tesla Q, on Twitter because he was worried that they had moved on. And so at a certain point this week, it seemed like there was a coordinated attack on Tesla from all of these media outlets. And so maybe, just some food for thought, are there short sellers behind some of this media activity? Tell me what you think in the comments. But so a bit counterintuitively, I was also a bit worried that the short sellers had gone away, because I think that the short sellers actually helped Tesla in a number of ways, believe it or not. One reason is that short sellers need to buy in order to cover their short positions, and that sends Tesla's stock price higher. We've already seen them propel the stock higher to new highs after the mother of all short squeezes as predicted by Elon Musk. It sounds like they got caught off guard again, and they needed something to bring down Tesla stock so that they could do some buying. Another reason is that it unites the Tesla bulls and gets them fired up against the short sellers, especially when the shorts like Gordon Johnson are saying things on TV that are so obviously fake that if this is the bear thesis, you want to buy Tesla shares hand over fist. And a third thing is that this sort of stresses Tesla as a company into becoming more resilient and keeping Tesla on their toes, and also uniting the employees to work extra hard to prove the short sellers wrong. And so despite all of this bad news that made it seem like Tesla was in its own movie, the stock surprisingly held up pretty well this past week in the face of what seemed like countless attempts to take it down lower. Imagine what could happen if they actually get some good news for a change. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. What do you think about all of the bearish news circling Tesla, and how do you think it will affect Tesla going forward? Please hit the like button and subscribe, and a huge shout out to all of our patrons that help to support our channel. Your support helps us to continue to make great content. Thank you guys so much for watching.